welcome back to Hear Me Out Cricket. This is the match analysis of RCB versus KKR. IPL is finally back, and we're starting off at Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. So most of the players are back for RCB. Unfortunately, Devdutt Padikkal is ruled out of the season because of an injury, and Mayank Agarwal has come in his place. And Phil Salt should be back. Rajat Patidar's injury status is currently unknown. So if he is not playing, then Swastik Chikara will play in his place at number 5. He's a big hitter, Swastik Chikara. He is an opening batsman, but don't be surprised if he does come in at 5. If again Rajat Patidar is unavailable, RCB can take another option wherein they open the batting with Swastik Chikara and Virat Kohli, and then they send Jacob Bethel in at 5. But I think now that Phil Salt is come over his illness, and he's had quite a bit of time to rest, I think Phil Salt will be a shoe-in for that opening position alongside Virat Kohli. For KKR, they haven't lost any foreign players. They haven't lost any Indian players. They will continue with the same team, I feel like, that played against CSK. Maybe Moeen Ali goes out and they bring Andrik Nokia in because it is Bangalore. Chetan Sakaria could be in or out of the team in place of Rovman Powell. So I would probably want them to line up like this. They open the batting with Ajinkya Rahane and Rahmanullah Gurbaz. Ankush Raghuvanshi plays at 3, Venkatesh Iyer at 4, or Manish Pandey at 4, Rinku Singh at 5, Russell at 7, Russell at 6, Rovman Powell at 7, Sunil Narayan at 8, Harshit Rana, Vaibhav Arora, Varun Chakravarti, and the impact sub of Anukul Roy or Andrik Nokia, depending on the situation. If wickets fall early, they may have to go to someone like Anukul Roy. I think something that KKR have made a very big mistake of is not trusting Rinku Singh enough. I don't think they've trusted their middle order enough. Having Sunil Narayan open the batting, what that means is Venkatesh Iyer plays at 5. An opener is playing at 5. Ankush Raghuvanshi is a very good number 3. He's playing at 4. Rahane is playing out of position. So the minute Sunil Narayan plays more than 15 to 20 balls, and even if he doesn't get a start, we've seen a couple of times this season where he's gone for maybe 20 balls and 10 or 15 balls, and his strike rate is below 160. It really harms the team more than it helps. So I think Sunil Narayan should play farther back down the order, and having that extra Anukul Roy also means if you need an extra batsman to bridge that gap. If wickets have fallen on the Anukul Roy can always do that, and he's a spin bowling option. And this is how I think KKR should line up, but I'm not 100% sure about the changes that they will make. Let's analyze the phases. So what we usually do is we break the game down into 4 phases, and we look at the approach that teams need to take in order to win this game. The first phase is the power play. You need to be 53 for 1. So, 2 players that have stood out in terms of averages and how they've performed over the last 3 years have been Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane. Virat Kohli has an extremely high average in the power play with a pretty decent strike rate. Someone who likes to take his time, but he's also capable of giving you that wild start that you sometimes need in Bangalore if the pitch is very flat. Ajinkya Rahane has only played 3 games here, and all 3 of them he's performed exceptionally well. He's hit the ball very cleanly this year. He's had a very good domestic campaign. Yes, the IPL hasn't been too great for him. He's put up a couple of 50s, but the quality is there with Ajinkya Rahane, and if it's a pitch which he's familiar with, he's always going to do well. So what you'll see in Bangalore is the first 6 to 8 overs, there's going to be a lot of swing. There's going to be a lot of help for the pace bowlers. The bounce will be quite genuine. So you can expect the ball, you can expect a little bit of an extra bounce on this pitch. For RCB, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is going to be the main power play bowler. How well he does is really going to determine how well he bowls could really change the fate of the game in a matter of a couple of overs. And for KKR, Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana, both of them are very capable of extracting that swing. Uh, Here in the power play, you need to be 53 for one, and if you've gotten the 53 for one, it's absolutely brilliant. You may be thinking Chinnaswamy Stadium is a batting wicket. The previous game there was 220 runs, but what you need to understand is in Bangalore it's been raining for the last couple of days. Uh, Having said that, whenever we see rain in Bangalore in the couple of games that we've watched, the game against Delhi and the game against Punjab, the wicket has been sticky. It's taken a while for the wicket to flatten out, and outside when I'm recording this, I live in Bangalore. When I'm recording this, it looks cloudy. It looks cloudy. Chinnaswamy Stadium being the highest point in Bangalore, one of the highest points in Bangalore, also means that the rain hits them first. So I would always pack that extra spinner. That said, another point to consider is the changeup with the off spinner has sometimes worked when runs are going quickly. You'd often see Glenn Maxwell or you'd often see Glenn Maxwell coming into bowl in the power play for RCB. And for KKR, they don't really have a bowler who can do that, unless obviously they play Moeen Ali again, which they might if the pitch is sticky. Or that's why Anupul Roy is a really useful asset. He can come in and bowl the tight lines. I don't if especially if the wicket is sticky and you're employing that tactic, you can't afford to lose Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti's overs through that middle phase. And moving on to the middle phase is over 7 to 10. Typically in this phase, it's a slightly slower phase. You need to be at 30 for no loss, or 35, 36 for one is what we've explored in the past. Over 7 to 10, 4 overs, you go a little bit slowly. You go a little bit slowly because you can't afford to lose wickets. In a lot of cases, what has happened is the team that's lost a lot of wickets in this phase ends up being the team that loses the match. So this has especially been a focal point of RCB's problems, where they've lost a couple of wickets in the power play and they haven't been able to stabilize properly. Rajat Patidar hasn't had a great year, and Devdutt Padikkal has seemed to struggle a little bit in this phase, especially at home. But all said and done, Virat Kohli still has an average of 60, and he's been batting excellently in this phase. His strike rate is only at 124, but in the next two phases, his strike rate jumps up to about 200, so there's nothing to worry about there. This phase is a setting phase. There's a lot of help for spinners. Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan can really extract a lot of help out of the ball, quite a bit of help out of the ball. A mystery spinner is very useful in this phase, especially for picking wickets. Suyash Sharma and Krunal Pandya on RCB's end are also going to be useful. But one thing to note is pace bowlers will still have a lot of help with the ball, with the swing. If the ball swings initially and the ball is coming decently onto the bat, I wouldn't go to the spinners. I would go to the pace bowlers. I'd want pace bowlers to bowl till the eighth over. It really depends on the conditions in the next few hours. If it rains, then things will change. But if the ball is swinging, they have KKR will play Andrik Nokia, and RCB will look to bowl 2 to 3 overs of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 2 overs of Andrik Nokia, 2 overs of Yash Dayal, and maybe Rashik Salam also might come in. I'm not completely sure, but at least 6 to 7 overs of pace has to be bowled in the first 8 overs if the ball is swinging. So overall, I think in this phase, I would give a slight edge to KKR, especially given the fact that the three in Ajinkya Rahane has had a very good record in Chinnaswamy Stadium, and Ankush Raghuvanshi has been batting well. He's in pretty good form. Manish Pandey might play today. It's his home ground. I want him to play. I'd want Manish Pandey to play. And Venkatesh Iyer has also not performed poorly in Bangalore. So I will give an edge to KKR in this phase. The next phase is overs 11 to 15. This is a phase where you really build the momentum up for the last 6 overs. The first 10 overs is going to be quite hard for batsmen. You need batsmen who will stick in there. Yes, you need a couple of explosive players in your top 5, but that should only be in your top 4 or 5, but that should only be limited to one, maybe two players. One player who can play both explosive and play with a little bit more of a temperament. You can't afford to have more than that, and that's because in the last 10 overs, it's going to be very easy to hit runs. So we talked about was getting to an 83 for 1 in the first 10 overs. In the last 10 overs, you can easily get up to 105. It's very easy. So typically, what you see teams do is up until the 12 over mark, they try and get to a score, and then they try and double that score in the last 8. Why? Because the ball starts to get soft. It's easier to hit. There's a little bit of dew that comes into play, and the ball overall pretty much comes onto the bat pretty well. So the 11 to 14 phase, it's another 4 overs. 40 for 2 or 40 for 1 is typically where you want to be. 10 runs an over is not going to be too difficult given how both the teams have set themselves up. RCB typically opens Virat Kohli and a big and a hitter. Then Padikkal or Mayank Agarwal, who will probably play today, uh, will try and stabilize the innings, and Rajat Patidar will be that link between the hitters. Because RCB are very clear in this. Jitesh Sharma, Tim David, and Romario Shepherd are the three big hitters they have. And if they have the license, if there are three of them and they have the license after with about 8 overs or 6 to 8 overs left, they're really going to go hard. It's very difficult to stop them. Uh, and uh, and it really takes a lot of effort for three quality big hitters to get out very easily. So the overs 11 to 14. So Venkatesh Iyer has a pretty good average in this phase. He could come into play batting at 5, but this year the form has not really been there, so I'm unsure of whether he'll start. But Ajinkya Rahane has batted into this phase all 3 times he's played in Bangalore. He's batted into this phase and he has a high strike rate here. Virat Kohli, if he bats into this phase, his strike rate is at 200. And typically, the bowlers you'll see being used here are off spinners, Chinaman, or death bowlers like Yash Dayal, or in the past RCB have used Harshal Patel, and I expect KKR to be using someone like Andrik Nokia in this phase. Uh, that said, KKR's bowling looks a little bit weak in this phase. Yes, 10 to 14, you can still use Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan and contain, but when a team is on a roll, they're hitting you hard. KKR don't have a go-to death bowler. Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana are too similar in what they offer the team. Both bowlers are attacking bowlers. They like to go in there and pick wickets. They don't have a go-to death bowler is my only concern for them. Andre Nokia could solve that, but at the end of the day, it depends on the pitch. And Andre Russell has also has had quite a decent record here. Don't be surprised if, because Andre Russell is hitting the ball well, he comes into bat in this phase a little bit early. Uh, Comes in the 13th or 14th over. He can really cause a lot of trouble for RCB's bowlers. Losing Josh Hazelwood is going to be a huge impact on them because their death bowling is about 20% weaker because of it. Yes, they defended that total against CSK, but still, it was CSK's game to lose. RCB pulled it back brilliantly, but not having Josh Hazelwood, it's going to be very difficult for them, especially given the hitters that KKR have at the end. They have Rinku Singh, they have Russell, they'll have Rodman Powell or Ramandeep who plays. And these guys can really cause a lot of havoc if you don't plan your tactics correctly. So the last phase is the last 6 overs, 15 to 20. It's a hitting phase. It's very obvious. You just have to go hard throughout. 65 for 2 is typically what you'll get. There's no help for the pace bowlers. There's no help for the spinners. And the ball does get a little bit soft. So someone who times the ball very cleanly might have a little bit of difficulty, but the musclers are really going to be the ones who can really create a problem here, irrespective of how the pitch is. In slower pitches, we've seen players like Tim David go out and absolutely create havoc and get RCB to a fighting score. Similarly, on the other end, you have players like Rodman Powell, Russell, and Rinku Singh who can power their way through this phase. Uh, KKR's death bowling looks very, very weak. RCB's death bowling comparatively looks better, but both teams are going to have quite a bit of problems in this death phase. So I think overall, I would still give RCB the edge in the death overs, and that was overall the kind of analysis that we do. Another thing to note is Yash Dayal in this phase has picked up 11 wickets at an average of 11.86, which is incredible. Then you go on to his economy. It's 8 in on a pitch on a in a phase where teams are scoring at 11 runs and over. Having an economy of 8 is incredible. So if I were with RCB, I would probably save 3 overs for Yash Dayal in this phase, purely because of the hitting that KKR have at the back end. So that was the analysis. I think overall I would give an edge to RCB of 51-49. It's going to be a high scoring game. The win factor for this game is probably the team that loses lesser number of wickets in the first 10 overs, the team that loses lesser number of wickets in the first 10 overs, and the team that bowls better in the death, because that's the weak spot for both the teams. That was the analysis. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.